We're ready, so. Good afternoon, welcome to the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors meeting, special session for Monday, December 15th. Let's do a roll call, please.
Grant.
Here.
Schwartz.
Here.
Leyland. Here. Kurtenbach.
Here.
Oh.
Here. Please stand if you're able to join for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1, agenda received as proposed or as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Item 2, discussion and possible board action regarding redistricting maps provided by the state of Iowa, creating supervisor representation districts. We will start with either Karen or Mike to talk through the districts that were presented through LSA.
Would you like me to share the map?
That'd be great.
Carol, can you share for me, please? Right, so these are the maps that were released by Legislative Services Agency. And you, as a board, will just take a vote to determine if you're going to approve these maps or reject these maps. And if you were to reject them, it has to be with written reason according to 42.4. So that is a document that I shared that code section with you along with just some key takeaways, which I'm happy to share again. But it has to be specific to that code section if anybody wants to reject. If you do reject it, then LSA will provide a second round of maps. And I did confirm with the Secretary of State's office and LSA that you can go back and vote for the first map if you saw or wanted the second map. I try to get a timeline out of the Secretary of State's office, but they just said as expeditiously as possible because these maps do go into effect in January 1st. So hopefully we wouldn't have this, but if we were to have a special election for supervisor like we did last January, the maps would have to be in effect for that. Just a reminder that your current districts and your terms will expire after the maps have been approved and go into effect. So that means all 5 will be on the ballot in 2026 with these new districts. And that, again, as a reminder, would go into effect here early next year because you would be on the primary ballot. So it's not just a November election. And that March filing period starts March 2nd. I believe through the 20th. So that's when you would have to file your papers. So all of this would go into effect January 1st and pretty much rolls early 2026. So I understand with the Secretary of State's office saying as expeditiously as possible because of the timeline for 2026.
With all being up for election in 26, how is it determined, if I remember the legislation correctly, some would be elected, that initial term would be a four-year term, some would be a 2-year term. How is that determined?
I
that
don't
was outlined in what I saw from LSA?
No. I don't have the answer to that, but yes, you would still have staggered terms. It's hard to say, because they're brand new districts. So you and Rich were already set to be on the ballot in 2026. You can't really, that can't just be a given that your districts would be that way. So I'd have to do some more research, but it would be staggered terms. And so Yeah, a couple of them would be 2-year terms and a few would be 4-year terms, and I certainly can get that information. The first order of business that we need to do, obviously, approve or reject, and then figure out if you do reject, then what the written explanation is, and then get the second round of maps. But once these maps are approved, the only order of business we have to do right away is to send the minutes and the resolution to the Secretary of State's office. There's no public hearing or any of that. Essentially, LSA did all of that. They were responsible for all of that when they drew the maps and released the maps.
Mike, did you have anything to add?
Not 20 years.
I'm happy to answer any other questions.
No, you did the ones I had written down, kind of the timeline, and that, I mean, it's actually information you kind of shared with us before, it was reaffirming, I guess, and particularly as it related to the plan. If we did request a second plan, that we still would have the option to look at the first.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that, so I was happy that both Secretary of State's office and LSA confirmed that for me.
And you said we need to be specific in our justifications for rejecting that one, is that correct?
Yep, and specifically according to Code Section 42.4, which talks about equal population, contiguous districts, compact districts, making sure precincts are as a whole, that you're not splitting townships. Objectively, looking at these maps over the weekend, I don't see any violation of 42.4 from LSA. These maps are according to code. And then they try not to split the cities. They really don't want to split cities into more than 2 supervisor districts. But of
Which is
course, with
almost
population,
impossible.
that's a little difficult in Waterloo. But if you look at Cedar Falls, they would not want that to be 3 supervisor districts. And they want it to be full cities. So you see Hudson is fully in District 1, Gilbertville is fully in District 1. You wouldn't want to split those smaller cities.
Evansdale.
All of Dunkerton is into, yeah. That is definitely a requirement and a priority when they're doing the maps.
And it sounded like the only time that might ever be an issue is like if it just absolutely could not meet the population needed from a voter's side, so then they'd maybe have to look at something different, but to try not to make any of those divisions when at all possible.
Yes, they really want to try as much as possible to keep precincts as a whole and cities as a whole and townships as a whole. So yeah, objectively, like I said, objectively looking at the maps, I don't see any red flags in accordance to 42.4.
Since you don't know what they have, I guess, for a plan as far as how they're going to stagger the election cycles, you think they'd be open to input?
I imagine that there is a formula already created. I just need to find that. So this is not a great comparison, but Elk Run Heights did, and maybe it's the same, I just would have to dig further. I think it's already in code how they're created, I just have to find that. So Elk Run Heights, they were 2-year terms and they were voted upon all at the same time. And then they passed a public measure to stagger them. And so the terms essentially were created by who got the most votes. The higher vote getters got the longer terms. I can't say that that's how this is, but my gut is that it's probably written in code and how these work. But that whether you vote to approve or reject either map, how they're staggered won't matter. But I'm happy to get that information and start digging into that. You'll obviously want to know that.
There is a comment. This is Chris. Sorry, I'm online today. I'm in Dubuque helping my parents out, and they need more help that I could get done during the weekend. But there's a comment in the chat citing Iowa Code Section 331.20, Section 4. That says the lots are drawn to determine the length of terms, and that would happen prior to the primary election.
Yeah, you'd have to know the terms before the primary election. He gave me a code.
It sounds like, I don't know if we're drawing straws or whatever kind of
I
thing.
think early in this process, like since they did the districting, the redistricting, I think that was what we were reading, that there was something like a drawing of straws. But yeah, we certainly want that verified, but more or less a draw, kind
Yeah,
of like just picking your turn.
Yes, definitely. I think when you guys approve the maps, that'll be my first order of business. And then I think that we do that pretty much right away.
Just like a
So that you know going into
rock, paper, scissors
2026.
tournament, basically.
That's kind of
That-
where it's going.
Good Lord.
I know we started looking at this quite a while ago, obviously during the legislative session, and that sounds really familiar. Maybe I try to forget that because it's so,
It seems like such nonsensical.
like not
way.
formula, it's
Right.
just straws.
Yeah.
And I do believe that other counties that do have supervisor districts and have 5, I think that there's 2 in the midterms and 3 in the presidential. Because that would make a difference for how many straws were drawn and whatever other baloney we got to do.
So I voiced my opinion earlier that my concern with this first map is it has 3 urban and only 2 in the rural. When you compare with the map that Johnson County got, it has 3 of their 5 have rural district. And even looking at Story County where they only have 1 urban and 2 have the rural areas. That's where I feel this first map we have is disproportionate for our rural residents. We should have more representation. Knowing we can come back to this, I guess my first thought is I'd like to see this map turned down. Let's see what the second map looks like. And hopefully it gives more rural representation for the supervisors. There's more, even if it's 3, it would have more of that rural area like Johnson County has. I guess that's my input, my desire to see something different and reason why.
I guess I strongly, it's not a secret, I don't think, strongly dislike Senate File 75.
Since when?
Yeah, I know. Breaking news.
Surprise, yeah.
It's sort of publicly stated purpose of creating equity amongst rural and urban. While frankly, after hearing debate from the legislature on this, I don't believe that was their actual intent. I do believe it was an attempt at political gerrymandering. But even taking that at face value, I probably differ a little from you here, Rich. I think this map actually does ensure rural voice. If you were, yes, the number of precincts per district may not, may differ from some of the other county maps. You would also run the risk of diluting rural voices with a different draw of this map. And as much as I don't trust, some of the arguments that was made publicly stated during the legislature's adoption of this, that political influence is, I think, unlikely to fade. This does seem even though I strongly oppose the concept that urban supervisors cannot advocate for rural issues.
Go ahead.
You've done the town halls. We've passed measures to support smaller communities and urban and rural communities, even in my relatively short tenure here on the board. There does seem to be some value in having a district that is, I believe it would be District 1. It would ensure, effectively, a rural voice on the board. Again, not ceding the idea that urban representation can't advocate for rural issues, but District 1, it feels as if would achieve at least their stated purpose of creating more of a balance of rural voices and urban voices on the board.
Can I add a couple of quick things?
Yeah.
I believe the comment in the chat, only because I reached out to her, is from the Story County Auditor. And yeah, we draw out of a hat or draw straws, so it's that simple. So I think if I don't want to, if I go in, then I'm going to lose those maps. So I'm going to guess that comment is from her because she said that she just posted. So there's that. And then I have no idea what the second round of maps would look like. But I feel like the only way that you can get a little bit more rural representation is that you would have to then split Waterloo even more. And I don't know what they would do, but knowing that that's a priority to not split cities any more than they have to, I just don't know where you move the population to get like a third district with rural representation without giving another district more of Cedar Falls or Waterloo.
Well, here's my thought with that, Karen. This is their problem to figure out when it comes to that. And knowing that we can come back and pick map 1 or map 2, I'd like to see what the other option is.
Sure.
And quite frankly, when I look at Johnson's and how it's split up,
So is Iowa
comparison?
City split into, how many districts is Iowa City split into?
2.
actually,
3.
4, 3.
Maybe 3.
Yeah, it'd be 3.
So that's what I'm, because they don't wanna split them any more than they have to, I think that's why Johnson County looks different than us. And then of course, just a reminder, Story County only has 3 board members, not 5.
Yeah.
So their districts are gonna look different because they only have 3 board members.
And I wouldn't think that maybe be a factor as for why we were making the rejection or why we wanted another plan because of other counties. It's really just what doesn't work or what we think is best for us, for our county. Obviously, we all know our positions on Senate File 75 and the opposition that some of us have felt toward it. As a voter, I mean, as far as my position on this has always been, as a voter, I want the ability to vote on all 5 of us. That's just something that to me has been, I guess, our right, but it's that having that say and finding individuals that you feel represent you and your neighbors and people in your community. And quite honestly, I think that's what we have liked about our plan, and that people can contact each and every one of us about the same issue, whether it's a rural issue or their own neighborhood issue. And the fact that we are changing that and being very much representative of just a district and what's going on in that district doesn't mean we won't reach outside that or feel that that's something better for the overall good of everyone. But just unfortunate that this has all come about. I guess I feel we haven't heard from the voters that they wanted a different plan all these years, these many years we've been doing it this way, and it's never come up. I know in all the years I've been here that anyone's wanted a different plan. And I thought that was probably why, because they have a voice for whoever they want. And we've always been, I think, good to want to ensure our voters that they have a voice on everything, and we've encouraged them to talk to all of us when they have issues, not just to one of us, or go to the person that's in your district or neighborhood. So it's unfortunate, but I think the LSA group probably did a very good group, put together the plan very carefully and cautiously to get the population right. I saw there was only some variance, and I'd hate to have had the job, I guess, looking at it, who knows how it came about, but like I say, just unfortunate that we have to do this, I guess is where I'm at, not so much my problem with the plan, but.
Well, the other part is, the voters of Blackhawk County made this decision back in 1958 for it to be from 7 supervisors to the 5. And they went from districting to at large for better representation. You know, even I went back and got the copies of the newspaper articles, and there was a lot of discussion about better representation by being at large from being in districts. So that's our history in Blackhawk County. Our voters have had that right to go back to districts. Nobody has ever put anything forward in all these years where they've had the right. This has taken away the rights of our voters in this county to make that decision. It's been done. But in the same token, I guess, I'd like to see map 2. I would like to see something more like Johnson County's got in their first map. But I don't know if it's on them, LSA, to come up with that map, but I'd at least like a choice.
Well, do we even know the process? You know, I said we can submit a rejection, I'd say, which I don't know if we're rejecting really, but we're saying we like another, maybe to look at plan. You're saying that, Rich?
Yeah.
Well, you would have to reject it.
Reject
and-
first one.
and
With
do a written,
cause. I think that's,
a written description.
yeah, that, to me, that's a,
You
Look,
can't just say, this one's, I'm not sure, let's see plan 2.
Yeah, let me see it.
No, that's why I
Yeah.
think the justification is that it be split up into more like Johnson County is, with 3 supervisors having rural areas.
So you
If
would
it-
have to reject and then do written justification, and then, I'm guessing this is maybe what you're asking me, I don't know how long, the only time frame we have is that these go into effect January 1st. When LSA gives us the second maps, if that's what you choose to do, I don't know.
filing deadline, in the event that this, that SF 75, I know it's being challenged legally as well. In the event that the bill, I don't know, survives, and isn't, for all intents and purposes, pushed upon us, this term, filing deadline for party nominations are when?
The window starts March 2nd, and I believe it ends March 20th. Obviously, you need to go out and get your signatures, and of course, we would want to draw straws for terms.
And those would need to be in the districts that you're running, not just the
signatures, yes.
county.
Yeah.
I have to say, it is really ironic that we're having a conversation about districts
Yeah.
while we have members of Congress in the state of Iowa who do not live in their districts.
Yes.
That is absolutely wild, but
We
it's
also,
neither here nor there, I guess.
I'd be remiss not to say this too, but our office has a lot of administrative work to do. Once these maps go into effect, then our office has to create the districts and voters with the voter registration database, so there's some admin work for us too, which will probably take a good month to do. So it's just, sitting here December 15th, the windows just keeps getting shorter.
That admin work, we're just trying to understand our calendar here, that admin work, about a month. What does that need to be done prior to? Does it need to be done ahead of the filing deadline?
Oh,
ahead
yeah.
of the filing window, ahead of the June elect, like,
Yeah, essentially, we have to create the districts in the voter registration database and put all these voters into these
Yeah.
districts.
Okay.
And I'm sure people will want lists And so you can't get any of those lists until we do our work on our end to get the districts created and the voters moved to their correct district.
So we have to go from our districts for our petitions?
Yes.
Only.
Only.
I just meant we just never thought about it before,
Yeah.
you got the 100 signatures or whatever it was and did it. Yeah, you have to keep us on our toes, we'll screw up.
They probably already have the second map drawn up, don't they? Would you assume they already have the map drawn as a contingency just in case it was rejected because of time constraints?
That would be my
I
guess.
would like to think so, but I can't speak to their process.
So number one, they'd have to accept our rejection.
Yeah, could they deny a
They could
rejection?
I would assume.
I'm gonna pass that to
I
Mike.
don't believe that they can, and I don't believe we could ask if we could receive the second one as a matter of right, was my understanding. Now, I'm not guaranteeing they won't try to reject it.
Well, and time being an
Yeah,
element too, I'm not sure.
That's the other thing, we probably want to, think about this earlier, we probably want to get a hold of them and say, hey, how's the deadline gonna work if we reject, now that we rejected this one, if we could do.
Mhm.
How's the deadline work in terms of being able to approve either this one or the next one in time, if LSA doesn't get us the next map, in a time, that- especially this time of year, that allows us a meeting to pass one or the other.
Well, they weren't worried about it when they didn't give us anything till December 4th, and then
That's kinda what I was
we still
thinking.
haven't even gotten notified them directly. We had to go online to get this. Did you
Yeah.
receive a letter or anything in writing from them?
I received that paperwork in the mail. I assume that you guys had to.
No.
I got an email from an attorney in Johnson County, so that's how I learned about it initially, and then I got Karen's email.
Yeah.
I didn't know that we got one directly from LSA, anything from them.
I mean, I'm gonna guess it went to just the board office. You might wanna look into that.
Check
I was
with
trying
them.
to think of who it would have come from to do a
I mean,
search
I'd
too,
be shocked
because
I
we
would
did
be
get
the only
yours.
one to receive it when it's addressed to you guys.
I think we were looking for an official, after you got kind of the official, we were expecting an official
Yeah.
notification. If anything, it was probably just a brief email to look at, check the LSA site or something, I thought, but.
Because I asked Laura, and we have not received anything from board office.
No, I didn't, you mean hard copy?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I never expected.
They're probably too busy thinking of other ways to. Oh,
Mess with
I
it.
was just gonna say they're too busy thinking of other ways to screw counties. But and do we know what kind of hat this is? And might there be magic solutions to their self-inflicted budget crisis?
I'm sorry, we couldn't hear you, or some of us didn't hear you well, Chris, what was that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, I was being facetious, but
I know, but.
I was just wondering if this magic hat might have solutions to the state's self-inflicted budget crisis.
Okay.
Do you wanna unshare this so we can see them?
Yeah. Well, we've all got it.
Yeah.
Yes, let's unshare the map.
Carol, can we unshare the map? I'll pass that down for you guys. I don't know if you've looked at all three counties.
Any thoughts on it, Justin, or good, bad, or ugly? No, doesn't matter, make a difference.
It is what it is.
Mike, do we have a timeline on the lawsuit that's been filed? Is there any update of where that's at?
Only that trial is set for March of 2027.
I love that, yeah.
Well,
That's, there hasn't been a request for a hearing that I've seen at this point on an application for
Okay.
temporary injunction. Interestingly, the state, well, not really interesting, it's not surprising, the state filed a motion to dismiss. That is currently pending right now. The plaintiffs have resisted that. I imagine there will be a hearing on it. I haven't looked at it since, I believe it was Wednesday or Thursday last week, but I'll look at it right now, see if anything's new on there. Because they wouldn't let me file an appearance last week, so that I would actually get the updates. And I don't know why there was some problem with my EDMS, I had to call them, and I haven't gotten an update on that either since then. So it's always something, right?
Sure.
I do wanna make sure that, like, we did receive on December 8th an email from Kelly Bailey. Regarding LSA has published your Plan 3 district plans. I have attached the materials that the Board of Supervisors must accept or reject. Please notify our office upon appropriate review of their first plan. So that was done, so that's as official, I think, as they were gonna get.
Yeah, while I don't obviously agree with the law that was passed, I would suspect it will not pass constitutional rigor, within the courts. I also can't in good conscience not be very specific as outlined in the legislation as to why to reject. Just want to see another map.
No, I don't think it's just a matter of seeing another map. James, I do believe that these are in proportionate between what they've done for Blackhawk County and what they did for Johnson County.
But they had to do them on population.
Understand, but it's the breakup of the 5 supervisors. I think they should have been done both the same way.
And when you say same way, you mean you just want that representation enough rural and
Yeah.
rural together,
I'd like to
urban and
see,
rural.
I think we would like to see that we have our county, that there's 3 root supervisors that have some of the rural area. And not an over concentration of the urban.
I think that, quite frankly, is a problem with the practicality of Senate File 75 and it being imposed on a county like Blackhawk County is our population isn't conducive to that type of arrangement.
Exactly, that's why I wanna see them do it.
You know,
I would assume this is the best attempt, I mean, I'm thinking it probably was the best attempt first.
Yeah.
Again, I think it was the best attempt to not break up cities anymore than they had to.
Well, they said cities, townships, yeah, precincts, voting centers, yeah. Like I said, I was kind of almost impressed at the deviation at when they had the population statistics regarding the different districts, at how close we were in each of the 5. Not happy with the plan,
I'm not happy with the plan either.
but
I can't in good conscience vote against the map. While I disagree with the law, it's, I can't see the grounds to oppose. Especially, quite frankly, because I feel like the process has been rather political throughout. Quite frankly, the only elected official, of those elected officials in Blackhawk County, those that voted for this, they didn't call me.
Nobody called me.
Did they call
Nobody
any
called
of
me.
us? That's striking. You would think that that would have been a logical phone call if the intent was good governance.
Doesn't mean we shouldn't
Doesn't mean that we shouldn't.
call.
do stuff in good governance as well.
That's exactly right.
Because we're responding to their mess.
But I agree, we have to do it in good governance.
Okay.
And part of that is trying to play within the rules. And that's where that's what I'm saying is in good conscience, I can't see where there's a legitimate argument to oppose the maps.
Well, I was the impression that asking for more rural representation is the reason why. So, correct me if I'm wrong with that.
I believe that would be a reason why, if you were looking to, that's the only reason I've heard given so far.
I mean, quite frankly, I'd like to see what it looks like. But
Politics.
to do that, that's the reason I want to see it.
Yeah, I know that they can't consider political registrations, for example, party
Right.
registrations. They can't consider where the supervisors that we currently have reside. Those are the things LSA can't consider, but I don't know that they've restricted what our explanation could be beyond that, and I could see that being a legitimate explanation. Now, having said that, there's a lot of reasons, maybe not a lot of reasons, there's a big reason efficiency-wise why you might want to go with this, and we have questions about how the deadlines are going to shake down as we head into New Year's and all this. And so if someone were to, that could be a reason you want to take the map you already have, rather than go through the process of having to get them that written explanation, and have them determine that they're going to go ahead and, assuming that they have to make this determination first, that they're going to go ahead and do a second one and send that over. So it all depends on what the motion and vote would come down to today. But I do believe that would be an explanation.
Well, then I'd put a motion that we deny this map or turn it down, and because of not having enough rural representation.
Do we have a second on that motion? Do we have a motion of another sort to affirm the map?
Yeah, I've moved to affirm.
We have a motion. We have a motion to affirm the map. Do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
We've got a second. Do we have any further discussion?
Yeah, I'll just state on the rural representation issue. If you want rural representation, having as much of a rural population in one district as possible is the way you achieve that. And that's what that district that includes part of Cedar Falls and then a number of smaller communities and a number of large swath of unincorporated area does.
But that's not what I'm asking for, Chris. I'm asking that 3 of the supervisors, you're not here to see the map, I don't know if you've looked at Johnson counties. 3 of their
Yeah, I've looked at all of it,
supervisors out of
Rich.
the 5 have rural
Yep.
areas. That's what I'm asking for.
But that does by its nature.
I'm sorry.
That does by its nature dilute those rural voices in each of those districts.
Yeah, I think this plan does what they wanted it to,
Correct.
for sure, so, rightly or wrongly.
And then the final thing is that we still have the option, if we don't like map 2, we can go back to map 1, we gotta make a final decision.
Yeah, something I'm thinking of is, like Linda, I think you alluded to this earlier, that just because we're a district representative, what does that really mean at the end of the day? You know what I mean? We're still gonna vote on the same things anyway, so it kind of doesn't matter. So I don't disagree with a single point that you made, Rich. I also wanted to see myself having a good chunk of the county. But essentially the way I see it is you're whoever's District 1 or 2 first point of contact. If that fails, send an email to the entire board, and then at the end of the day, if it gets on the table for an agenda item, then we're all gonna vote on it anyway. So I just don't see that there's any more or less influence with me just being in an urban area. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Hopefully, I was thinking too, you'd have your representatives still approach us all.
Right.
Like I said, we might represent the district for certain things, but I said hopefully they're all still coming to us or feeling openness to approach us on anything.
I mean, similar.
Which has
to
been-
people Don't know their house district,
Yeah.
right? Like those lines can feel somewhat arbitrary at times.
Or their own precinct.
Or their own precinct, right? Like,
Or think we're city council.
correct, correct.
Which is why our citizens have opted to have us all at large
Yeah.
and not chosen to go into districts. And I mean, I'll just go on the record. I think this is an entirely illegitimate process. And I think that, well, I know that when I took my oath, it was to the United States Constitution. It was to the Constitution of the state of Iowa. That includes, especially the 15th Amendment of the United States Constitution. And so when I vote on this, I'll be putting on, pretending I'm in some magical fairyland of Kim Reynolds, where this is legitimate and constitutional, because it's not. But I'll be voting to affirm just to protect our county's interest and liability and that of our employees. But this is an entirely made up and ridiculous, unconstitutional process.
Well, and I don't want to speak for the board, but I am hoping that the lawsuit that's filed will come, they are be asking for a temporary injunction soon, and this can be addressed maybe the way it should and going through the courts without waiting till it's caused all this concern and issues.
Yeah, it was done so sloppily, frankly, and quickly, hastily. The legislature did a number on local government on this, and it was clearly targeted, as it only affects 3 of the 99 counties. And it was done without input of those counties affected. That is that's an interesting approach to governance, for sure.
And the fact that when the public had asked for this, it would have been a phased-in type of process for everybody to have understood, been educated, informed, and know how to go about it. There probably wouldn't have been all 5 of us running at the same time. We would have done it as the
Like
elections
they
come
did
up.
back in
And
1960.
so it's unfortunate that, so all was a bit rushed.
And I agree, Justin. I hope that all the members of the board, this current one and any future iterations, do act in the best interest of the entirety of the county. I think that's been the beauty of that large representation, is that you can, on some level, ensure that. The hard part now is that we're injecting a tribalism that has been, frankly, a disease in Des Moines, a disease in DC, that we're basically saying, this is your piece of it, this is your piece of it. And yes, while I think we've all got the character to rise above that, next iterations may not have that. Next iterations may say, I've got to bring it home from my district. And that may become the new measuring stick.
Davis, what you're saying is the reason why they changed it back in 1958. Exact reason. And we're used to being at large and representing everybody, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now, maybe you're all different. Those people coming in may have a whole different aspect, like what you're talking about right there. So we're making a decision, not just for us today, we're making it into the future.
Well, we're not making it.
Well, we're not making it. That's correct. This is not a change we wanted.
No,
It is a change imposed.
but we're having to make
We're having
decisions
to make a call.
as it's going through.
Yeah. Well, I thought you were getting ready to say something. You did the finger together thing. I thought there was a.
Do you know me too well?
It's been a couple of years.
I mean, I already said this, but I just wanted to just confirm, because I looked up the code section, so that just always makes me feel better, that yes, in 331.208, the determination as to whether a term of office shall be for 2 or 4 years shall be decided by lot. So essentially,
Can we do the paper rock scissors like a tournament? Do you really kind of maybe bottle flip kind of thing? Just kidding.
We've had a mayor drawn out of a hat when it's
That's
in my
fine.
turn. Yeah.
It's
Strange things.
it says in counties with 5 supervisors, 2 persons shall be elected as members of the board for an initial term of 2 years.
Okay.
So that also answers, I think, your question.
Yeah, the first
So
round would be for
essentially,
2
in a
years,
hat, I would put in 2 slips of paper for 2 years and 3 for 4. And then you would just draw for your term.
Well, we followed the law and been following the law, so we'll
Yep.
see where we go.
Yeah,
But
as
we
thorough as we are at times, it'd be really wild that this gets imposed on us in such a quick order that we've got to draw names out of a hat to determine terms of service.
That is going for office.
Good
If it
lord.
makes you feel better, I never do well in these kind of competitions, so.
And I can send you guys that code section.
So we don't know who you're running.
Well, we've got a motion and a second on the floor, unless there's other discussion. Entertain a roll call, please.
Schwartz,
This is a,
Yes.
sorry, Chris, this is a motion to
approve them.
approve the maps.
No, my motion was to reject it.
Your
Yep.
motion didn't have a
It
second.
didn't have a second.
So Justin made the motion to approve, and Liz
Okay.
seconded.
Yes, I'll make that. Yes, in favor of this illegitimate process.
This plan. Plan was,
This man.
this
Kurttenbach,
map, I'm
No.
sorry.
Brandt,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Hall.
Yes. All right. With that,
And I'd like to make just a particular note of, Representatives Derek Wolf and State Senator Dave Sires, who apparently think that the voters are smart enough to elect them, but stupid enough to decide how they pick supervisors. And so the voters should take note of the slap in the face and their direct disenfranchisement by these people that claim to represent them. And they should remember that when they're up for re-election. And may they have a Merry Christmas.
Thanks for that note.
all right, unless there's other discussion, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Bye-bye.
All right.
Works out a lot of things to fix.